January 3rd, leaders of the 5 nuclear weapon states, the US, Russia, China, the UK, and France, collectively known as P5, issued a joint statement on preventing nuclear war and avoiding arms races. Now, this is something that we see very rarely. The P5 never agree on anything, not on climate change or COVID-19, not even on universal ceasefire. But now they agreed to this, first of all because it is not a sincere promise. Let us show you what this joint statement says. We reaffirmed that a nuclear war cannot be won and must never be fought, as nuclear use would have far-reaching consequences. We also affirmed that nuclear weapons, for as long as they continue to exist, should serve defensive purposes, deter aggression, and prevent war. They are generous enough to avert a nuclear apocalypse. The fact is that the P5 has brought us to the brink of nuclear apocalypse. Put together, they have 12,620 nuclear warheads, enough to obliterate the planet. Strategic stability requires adherence to the principle of the United Nations Charter that ensures the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. Russia in Ukraine and China in Ladakh, South China Sea, and East Asia are presently blatant violators. The US, the UK, and France are no saints either, and their post-Second World War indulgences provide sufficient evidence. Instances of armed coercion involving nuclear powers or their allies who are being provided extended deterrence have to be substituted by constructive dialogues. This is precisely what the joint statement promises. Let us go back to the joint statement. Here is what it says on dismantling nukes. We underline our desires to work with all states to create a security environment more conducive to progress on disarmament, with the ultimate goal of a world without nuclear weapons with undiminished security for all. Sounds great again. No nukes yet complete security. But what are these countries doing to achieve it? Look at China, for instance. Right now they have around 350 nuclear warheads, but reports say they are expanding. By 2027, China could have 700 nukes, and by 2030, 1,000. Now, these numbers were published by the Pentagon, so yes, it could be an exaggeration, but the intent is unquestionable. China is building around 200 new missile silos. They are making road-based intercontinental ballistic missiles. They are commissioning nuclear-armed submarines. Last year, they also tested a hypersonic missile. Clearly, Beijing is gathering more nukes, but if you ask them, it's all part of what they call modernization. Fu Kong, the Director General of the Chinese Foreign Ministry Arms Control Department, denied the US Defense Department's allegation that China was rapidly expanding its nuclear arsenal. On the assertions made by US officials that China is expanding dramatically its nuclear capabilities, first let me say that this is untrue, he said. China hopes that the P5 could further their efforts on this basis, abandon the policies of nuclear deterrence based on the first use of nuclear weapons, make commitments of mutual no first use of nuclear weapons, and jointly negotiate and conclude an international legal instrument. Same with Russia. When the Soviet Union collapsed, Russia inherited all their nuclear weapons. Most of them were decommunized, but around 6,200 nukes remain. Is Moscow planning to dismantle them? On paper, yes, it is. But just last month, they threatened to deploy nuclear missiles in Eastern Europe. 20 days later, they're talking about a new free world. Same for America. They have around 5,500 nukes lying around, but apparently it's not enough. The US Air Force has ordered more than 600 nuclear missiles. They can travel 6,000 miles. Their warhead is 20 times more powerful than the bomb they dropped in Hiroshima, and they will be ready by use by 2029. Total cost more than $100 billion. America gets away with this expansion the same way as China does. They don't call it expansion, they call it modernization. Technically, these new missiles will replace old ones, but why not retire them completely? Because the US is not sincere. France, by the way, was not even happy with this resolution. Their policy permits first use of nuclear weapons, meaning they don't have to wait for an attack. They can fire nukes as a warning. In fact, the French Air Force practices this a lot. Every 3 months, they hold poker drills. French jets and tankers practice dropping nuclear bombs. Nothing says non-proliferation like mock drills on dropping nukes. All these countries are expanding their nuclear arsenal. They are preparing for war or threatening war. So who made them the guardians of the nuclear club? A treaty from the Cold War. It is signed in 1969. It is called the NPT, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. There were two parties to this deal. On one side, the P5 US, Britain, France, Russia, and China. On the other side, 191 non nuclear states. It was always a lopsided deal. Since 1968, more countries have acquired nukes. India, Pakistan, and North Korea, also Israel, though it does not admit it. The NPT does not recognize these nuclear powers. They still focus on the P5, which is why the system is doomed for failure. Take Iran or North Korea for instance. Both countries are being asked to abandon their nuclear program. We agree they should, but how can America or Russia or Britain convince them to do that? While we can trust nuclear weapons to maintain peace, believing in human rationality to accomplish peace is the greater danger. A constructive dialogue, as visualized in the joint statement, must first accept both these realities. Actions that follow would be a space to watch. Actualities must change. Let us hope sanity gets the chance it deserves, and most importantly, they must dump their nuclear weapons first. So guys, this was for today. Give us your thoughts on this in the comment section, and if you appreciate our content, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Share this video with your family and friends. We will meet soon in a new video. Thank you. Jai Hind.